All right. I figured I'd make a video. Attempt one. No, I don't have any attempts here, but okay. I figured I'd make a video on doing this profile card component in Frontend Mentor. So it's one of the easier ones, and I've done the harder ones, but I figured the easy ones are actually nicer to go through. I don't like the kind of core and fundamental concepts of HTML and CSS. The harder ones are obviously, in my opinion, more fun to do. And I've started backwards, as you can see. I still have a bunch to do. But the easier ones, honestly, you can just focus on specific things about them, you know? So I figured I might give it a shot. Anyway, let's go back to this. And the first thing we want to do, I guess, is get the starter files. So as soon as we've got that, let me just open this up, see what we need. Live project. So I created a folder for this, product feedback app. Nope. There, profile card component. Okay. We've got the design stuff. Don't really need it right now. Images. Yes, we want to grab some images. Okay, index.html, fine. Readme.md style guide might be useful. Readme, I don't think there's anything to read. It's a simple component. Hopefully that's it for now. Okay, I'll move this out of the way as well. Seems distracting. Okay, I think I'm gonna close this down and just kind of see where I would go from here, because I'm trying to get this whole project from scratch. I did some initial setup work, but truly minimal, and I'll show you everything I'm doing. So first, open up command, opens up this box on Windows. You can do a very similar thing on Mac, but you can't do the command thing, to my understanding. Okay, so we've got our file here now. And the initial setup I usually do is, okay, let's create some new folders. New file will be called styles as a folder. And then we want reset.css. And we want to add one more file. We want to add style.css. Okay. Reset.css will have exactly what it sounds like. It's going to have CSS reset. Usually I just copy this and it does the job. Yeah, there. And it just really resets as much stuff as possible, you know, sets margin, padding, border, everything to 0 and nothing, which works for me quite nicely. I'm not sure if it does anything for buttons. No, but wish it did. I might add to this, make some sort of a snippet for myself. Then obviously we need the font. So as per the style guide, if we go to the style guide, Kumtans is the font, so probably don't need a folder anymore. Kumtans is the font, so let's just have a look. The way you would do it, I don't know, you can select whatever you want. You can then import it here. This import means to CSS, link means you're injecting into your HTML. I will use the CSS route. And then I'm just going to do some really quick stuff I always do for just about any project. So in root, we know we're going to have some variables. Variables based on this over here. So you can see we've got some colors and stuff. So first of all, I want some, actually let's do this one first. So this is my most basic thing, box sizing border box. This means that your padding is now taken into account, padding and border, I think, is now taken into account of the sizes and dimensions of any element, which is, I think, the intuitive behavior. So you just want to set this up straight from the get-go. I have actually set up, well, the initial stuff here, because I don't like going through this kind of stuff in a video. What do we have here? We've got a font from here. Font family is set. We've got a font size 62.5%. This quite simply means that you can use rem as you would, having the advantages of rem. And advantages of rem, to my understanding, are that if the user zooms in, instead of seeing pixels, they will have more or less responsive units, you know? So the font and everything will grow as the user scrolls in or scrolls out, zooms in or zooms out. And what we want to do is, because we have font sizes, you know, usually in pixels from a design or anything, you want to be able to know roughly what 1 rem is. Usually 1 rem is 16 pixels, usually. But if you set it as, but then if you do a calculation, I believe, what is it, 1 divided by 16? No. Okay, I'm drawing a blank for some reason. Yeah, so 1 divided by 16 is 0.0625. Or otherwise, that 1 pixel is 6.25% of rem or something like that. Anyway, what this means is that 1 rem will be equal to 16 pixels. Sorry, 1 rem will be equal to 10 pixels. Let's get the back there. And, you know, if you have a font size of 1.5, you know, 15 pixels in the design spec, and by design spec, I do mean this. So let's say here, don't care. You can see 1.8 rem or 18 pixels. However you want to write it, you can now. I'm going to use rem unit, so that's why we have this. Also, I think I'm going to open up my Figma on the desktop because I'm just going to close this down. Keep it over here for now. But yeah, then we've got some colors as variables, normal CSS variables, and that's about it. Let's do some really quick setup for the body. I always do this for just about any project. Width, height, 100 view height. We will have, so just to show you, this is like a background thing, so we don't care, right? Essentially, we only have one component in this project. And what that means is that we want to center this one component perfectly in the body. The easiest way to do this is display grid, place items, center, and that's gonna have that effect, as you'll see. Position, relative, don't think I need it actually. What for? We can set a background now. Primary, I'm pretty sure it's this one. And then the only padding I might want is for mobile. So as you can see, we've got this padding over here and over here. And we only care about the horizontal axis or x-axis padding in this case. Let's just add that padding. So we start from top, and then I think we have 2.4 rem, 0 and 2.5 rem. Let's just see, 2.5 is left, 2.5 is left. Cool, perfect. And I don't think we'll need it, but whatever. I'll just overflow is hidden for now. I don't think anything would overflow. Actually, let's keep that like that. Okay. So now let's do some really quick brainstorming. As you can see, I've done some calculations here already. I was just trying to figure some stuff out. This one will not be necessary. These two are we're done with. Happy days. Okay. So first thing is, when you look at a design and you want to break it down, you're essentially thinking in boxes. HTML just give you, that's all it really gives you, boxes. And then you can apply, you know, border radius, blah, blah, blah. But effectively, it's still going to take the space of a box, rectangle, square, whatever. In this case, let's just add some dark stroke around this. We don't need any color. Let's see what kind of boxes we have, right? So the main box is obviously the whole design. The second box I see then is this kind of image top section. And the only reason, oops, I wanted to do Alt there. There we go. All right. So this is a box in my opinion. Why? Because of this overlap. Like this overlap to me makes these images to be in the same container. And we're gonna do this with CSS Grid, and I'll show you how really simple it is. Then we have another box over here. And I think this can be just a div or maybe a section or something. And then obviously we have two, well, actually 3 elements. So I suppose this is a H1. This can be a span. This can be a paragraph. And a final box, of course, is on the bottom. I think we will include this thing to be border top. So we actually might want to calculate some padding. There we go. 2.4. Okay, cool. And these boxes will obviously translate into this identically. The only difference between these two, let's see, this image should be the same. Yep. The only difference here is the width. This is 350 and this is 326. So kind of let's start with the card. The background stuff I'm not too worried about, so I'm going to do that last anyway. Could do it first, but it makes no sense. And I'm going to delete these boxes. I don't actually need them. Don't want to delete that. There we go. And remove this one. Okay. These ones I'm going to keep. So I suppose this would be a good time to build the HTML for this project. Style guide, I am no longer interested. Remove style.css. Style.css, don't care. Okay, let's open up the HTML file. Let's see what we got. Yeah, attribution, don't care. I'm not gonna do that. That's basically just advertising stuff. I'm not interested. Cool, we've got the text here. Let's just have a think on how this can be structured in HTML. So first of all, I'm gonna do everything in divs initially, and then I'm gonna convert it to more semantic HTML. Okay, so first of all, we have a user card. I'm pretty sure we can call this, the whole thing is a user card. And then as we discussed, we have 3 sections. So the first, I'm gonna say user card header. And header, just because it's the top is the header, but it's not an actual header element, as that usually contains some sort of navigation, some sort of information as to what the below content is. This doesn't, so I'm not going to actually do a header component. Inside of that, we have how much do I want to go inside here? I'm going to continue this kind of naming sequence of thing. Header, background, image, container. So whenever I use images, I always chuck them into a div. It's just easier to work with for me. The source for this is in images, and then button top, I assume. It's hopefully that one. Okay, and then we have user card, header, user. Actually, we can just do profile image. And then image. I don't know if I like these. These are really long class names. They are very exact. I'll leave it for now. It's not like a biggest problem in the world. Image vector. I assume that's a vector. Alt. I don't know. Vector crest profile image. Just gonna write something, and that does it for the top section. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay, that does it for the top section, I'm pretty sure. Okay, cool. Next, we have this middle section, and I suppose this is user information. No, this is all user information. So this is, I'm gonna say dot user code primary information, primary info. Okay, then we will have a h1, h1 dot user. well, user name, I guess. And we can just type Victor request. And inside here, we can just do a span plus user age. And we just check in 26. Okay. What's next? Paragraph. Then paragraph class, user location. And this happens to be London. Oops, don't mean to. Okay, that's fine for this one, the central div. Then, not now ID. And then we want to do the bottom section. So this is user code. I suppose this is social info, because all of this seems to be related to social media. I'm going to put this as social info. And social info is a bit of a tricky one. So if we go back to the idea of boxes, let's do that. Idea of boxes. A box, should have kept the box. I'm going to change this to red so it's easier to see. Remove this. Okay. What do I mean this is trickier? So initially we've got a box for this whole bottom section, right? Let me just remove that. But then we can also think about it in another way, that this is actually a box in its own. And this sort of makes sense to me, because this padding will always stay the same, but I kind of want this to be flexible, and then this has some padding, and it's just easier to do with some more structure. So I'm gonna just do social info inner container. Okay. And then we want to have social info. I'm gonna call this stats. Social info stats. Whoops. Okay. Then I suppose I'm just gonna have a stat here as a container, and then we have two things inside of stat. We have dot stat. Actually, no, this will be a h2. I'm feeling h2 stat value, and then we want to have looks like a paragraph to me. Paragraph stat category. I think that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, social info, we have one stat and we want to just duplicate it as such. And then we just type stuff in, I guess, 80K. This is, followers. I think there's a CSS thing to select the first letter, but A, I forgot it, and B, it's not really necessary. Likes. And this is 1.4K. And this is photos. Let me just format this. Okay. And I think that's okay for the HTML. That's everything we need. So now we can just do styles.css. How do I want to view this? So these boxes, I just want to remove them. There we go. Okay. How do I want to view this? We've got some space here, I suppose, and we can open up page here. So open live server. Yeah, let's do it this way. Okay, over here, I can open these up for myself. But mostly I just wanted to be able to view this. And on the right, where you can't see, I'm gonna have the font information over here. Okay, let's just do it this way for now, actually. Okay. And this doesn't really need to be this big as well. What is going on here? Ew. Okay. Pattern top. Let me just check if this is the right one. Pattern card. Nope, that's the right one. Okay. So let's see what we have here. If I refresh, okay. So usually I obviously have an inspector tool running in the background, but for now I just want to see what's going on. So 375, straight away you can see that this image is not resizing. That's fine. Overflow hidden. I think I canceled that out. Okay. So first we have user card. User card will have a few specific things. I'm not going to set the height because I want the height to be dynamic. I want the content, all this stuff. I want this, everything in here to dictate it. What I would start with is a width. And width you can do a few ways. Like I could do width of, what is this? 32.6 rem. Oops. 32.6 rem. So we could do this. And this wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But then I have to make it grow and all that stuff. Not really interested, right? I'm going to do width 100%. Let's see what that does. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's one important step I seem to have missed. Link, styles, and first we have reset, and then we have style. Would be nice. Yes, okay, that looks slightly what I was expecting. Cool. So I have width 100%. Okay. The issue right now is that this image is overflowing, but we will ignore it for now. As for the padding of the card, I can only see the padding really truly on the bottom. Yeah. So this padding is actually, it belongs to all these elements. This is like all a box. But this is a padding bottom. So for now, we just do padding bottom. And looks like 2.4 rem. Cool. Background, white. So I use background. Obviously, you can use background color for the same effect. I don't see the point, quite frankly. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose you could say background color is just more semantic, but I like to save time where possible. Okay, and now what's going on here? So overall, we have a column layout. I guess we can just do display flex. Flex flow, which is flex direction and flex wrap, will be column, no wrap, and then align items, which is the secondary axis. So in this case, the row axis or the X horizontal axis center. So this should center stuff perfectly in here, which it did perfect. It didn't do anything to the image, of course, because the image is in its own div, which is within another div. So this remains untouched, which is correct. Okay. What do we have next? So the initial setup for this is actually fine. So you can see this padding is done now on the bottom. We can just kind of remove that. Oh yes, we could probably want a max width of 35 rem. I think it was 350 pixels. Whoops. Okay, so we've got a max width. I'm gonna leave the user card for now. And we can get into the user card header. So the header, as I was discussing, I want to use CSS Grid because there's these two images and one of them is overlapping. I think Grid is probably the optimal way to go about it. So we'll start with that. Start with display of grid. Okay, let's see what happens. Nothing, cool. And then I just want to set grid. Grid is actually a shortcut for so many things, all grid, but all I'm going to use for this example is grid rows and then grid columns. Or I'll write it actually grid template rows and then grid template columns. Just want this one. Okay. So let's write them up first. Do these images change sizes? 350, 140. So I'm really checking the height. And this is 96, 96. No, they don't. Okay. So the only thing we really care about, and I did this before. Whoops. I did this before, just because I knew I would. Top section rows. So the way I split this up is in rows. So the background image will take the space of row 1 and row 2. So altogether, as you can see, it takes the entire space. And then the second image eats into row 2 and goes all the way to row 3. And the way grid works is with lines. So it actually begins with, there's a line here, line 1, then it goes down, the end of the first row, so line 1 to line 2, then line 3, and then line 4. Yeah, so we actually write this with lines, so to speak. Let's check how big this is. So this is 8.6 RAM, 5.4, 4.8, 8.6 RAM, 5.4 RAM, I think, and 4.8, right? I have it here, 4.8. 8.6, 5.4, and 8.6. Perfect. And we only want one column. Okay. I'm going to go revert this to what it was. Top section rows. We can remove this now. We're good with the calculations. Okay. So we don't see much happening here. And I think this will be justify items. And this is the row axis. And we just want to center stuff. So that looks nicely centered. I like it. So next step is to make sure that these images are always going to be in the right positions and locations. So let's do that. Background container. Okay. Whoops. On the dot. And I suppose we can just grab this one as well straight away. Dot. All right. So first one is grid row, and grid row is 1 to 3 as we discussed. And I can show you the grid really quickly over here. So this is line 1, line 2, line 3. So between 1 and 3, we want to take that space. And then grid column is 1 and 2 because we only have one column. I'm just going to copy that code. And grid row for the second one is actually begins with 2 and it ends with 4 as such. So now perfectly overlapped. And that's, I think, the beauty of CSS Grid. And then obviously we see that this is circular. We can just do this now. Border radius, just count 50%. Oh yes, overflow will be hidden like that. Why is that there? Very interesting. I'm not sure what that line is there. I'll have to investigate it. Obviously, bug of my own creation. It looks like it has a border. I think I checked this before. I think it was 5 pixels, so 0.5 RAM, solid white. All right, that looks kind of fine. Let me just check Shift 0 zooms Figma to 100%, just so you know. It's quite handy just to see real sizes of things. So if we just do it this way. So right now it's messed up because, as you can see, this image is growing, right? We can fix that quite easily. Okay. First of all, we'll put width 100% here. We'll put height 100%. I don't think we have to. We'll check that in a second, but I just like to start that way. This image, and the image will have width 100%, height 100%. Object fit will be cover. Let's see. Look at that. Straight away. All good. It's fixed. So now you can see it's a bit more responsive, right? So it's a good start, I think. 375. Let's just see what a card should look like. And of course, card, use a card. We can do border radius, and I think I checked this before as well. Hopefully it will look the same. Let's see. Yes. So as you can see, the image is not being clipped. So this is another case where overflow hidden can come in handy. And everything is now displaying correctly. Okay. By the way, you can see how slowly but surely the height of this element is coming together. Yeah, without me doing too much. Now, you can see that between these elements, these three elements, there's these gaps. And I think both of these gaps, they look the same. So yeah, both of them are 24 pixels. So use a card. You can use the property gap, or you can use the property like a row gap in this case, which is just a bit more specific because we just wanted spacing between rows. Gap will do the same thing though. Gap works for CSS Grid and Flexbox actually. 2.4 RAM. Look at that, straight away. Okay, we're even closer to the design. Sorry, it's a bit dry in my throat. Okay, so far so good. We have a responsive design. And the next step, I suppose, let's just style this central thing now. Oh yeah, and usually sometimes people have like, okay, how do you do CSS comments? Well, you know, like what's a good way? I just give myself headings effectively. So I'm just gonna call this as base. Then I'm gonna use this as card base, card base header. Okay, so card header. I like that. And that's all we've done so far, I think. And the next section will be card, what do we call it? Primary info. And whoops, we just have one more section after that. And then it will be social media info. So let's do the primary info section now. Okay? So I'm going to close this one. I'm pretty sure we're done with that. I don't think there's anything more to add. It looks Shift-0 again. It looks the same. I'd like to get one of those applications that it shows you what I clicked, that keyboard. I'm sure that's easy to get. Okay, user card, primary info. I don't even know if we need to style anything here. It can be a flex column, but it doesn't have to be because, yeah, I don't know. So first thing I see is that the text align can be center. All right, cool. Text align is now centered correctly. What's the font size here? And I need to open up this keyboard changed language. Okay. So the font size, and I'll keep it like this now. The font size is, so this is 1 point something, 1.8, 1.8, 1.4. Okay. Font size 1.8 RAM. I'm gonna put for everything for now. So everything's 1.8. Color. Are all of these different? Nope, these two are the same. And this color, HSL, is 228-1047. Okay, so it's gray blue. Gray blue. Okay, so we've got a color for most of them. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just saving myself some work, yeah, because I know two of these things are the same color, so I'm going to name all of them, and then one of them I'm going to specify later on. Just like later I'm going to specify the font size for this one. Color, blah, blah, blah. If we do, okay, display flags just makes no sense here. We have this tiny gap. It looks less than 1 RAM. Okay, so this is 0.8 RAM. Because we could have done display flags, column, and then gap, but why bother when it's just a margin bottom, right? So let's just do this. I'm still gonna keep to this primary info dot user name. Font weight. So this is bold. I can say that straight away. Yep. And what bold is 700. So now it's bold. Clearly, we don't want the span to be bold, so we will actually reset it. Yeah, let's just reset it here. User age, font weight. So this looks regular. Oops, not 50, 500. That looks better. User age, username, primary info. And username can have a margin bottom of 0.8 rem, just to create that spacing. And then finally, user age has a font size of 1.4 rem. I think it was. Nope, not that one, sorry. Wrong one. This is user location. Don't need that. And font size 1.4 rem. Okay, this is looking much better, much closer to the original design. So far we've done almost all the work. Now it's just the bottom section. So let's get to that. Okay. So the way I wanted to do this is because I want this to be quite responsive. So if the card is too small, I want this content to kind of squeeze together. And let's see how I do this. I have a systemic way of thinking about the end result. I can't explain myself very well. But thankfully I can show you while I code. So let's do that. So we have this class, and let's just close that and focus on here. Okay, so we've got user card, social, info, stats. What is this? So first of all, we can do width 100%. We can do BT is border top 1 pixel. It is 1 pixel actually. We can just copy this color. I don't think it exists anywhere else. Perfect. Solid. Let's see. Cool. We've got that. Just make this a bit bigger. All right, 375. We have a padding top, 2.4 rem as well. So you can see actually, we might not even want padding in the whole card because we can just do padding in the bottom. User card, padding bottom. Right now, let's remove that. Let's just see how we do. Yeah. Here we will do padding, 2.4 rem, 0. Okay. Actually, this one, I'm just going to put 2.4 rem. I know this padding is bigger, but I'm thinking I'm going to have a max width for these things. Okay. So now it's kind of looking close already, to be honest. Okay. And then we have the inner container. Okay. And straight away what I see is a row, right? This is a row of content with columns of content, or just normal CSS flow. Okay. Display of flex. We don't have to specify anything else. This turns it into a row. We want to do justify content is space between. So I want to go to the extremes of the borders. Okay. There's a max width for this. Yeah, there is a max width for this, isn't there? 23.4. So according to this design, this is the minimum size, but I don't want that to be the minimum size actually. And actually, I want this to be display of flex as well. You'll see why in a second. Because now I can use this flex property, which has flex grow, and then it has flex shrink afterwards, and then I think I can set none for flex basis. the minimum I want this to be is 20 rem, let's say. So now it's growing, but it can also shrink, as you can see. And then if we have a max width of, so flex basis, max width. What is the max width? Well, max width appears to be 24.9. Okay, let's just see how we do. 24.9 rem. Save that. So right now it's looking really off, right? We can all agree there. It's looking really off because it's growing. Right now it has flex grow set on. How can I fix this? So I want it to be a minimum of 200 pixels. Or like there, that's 200 pixels minimum, I think. I'm not even sure, to be honest. I was hoping it would be. Okay. We can do align items center. Or am I missing something? Okay, I just want to have a look at it in here. Right, so it's respecting the max width already. Okay, I see. So that purple area is basically just unused space, as you can see. Yeah, because right now it's already at a maximum width, which we don't want. Okay, let's do it a bit easier. We can do flex grow is 1, flex shrink is 1. So I will also want it to shrink. But instead of using max width, I'm going to use width, and I'm going to use a property called clamp. Clamp is a responsive way of setting a font size, a width, or whatever really, but it's a responsive way. And there's actually a tool I have, CSS. I'll show you over here. This is the tool. And now what we want to input is, okay, minimum viewport width. So we start with 375 pixels, maximum viewport width. Let's put something like, I don't know, 900 pixels for now. 1 rem is at the moment equal to 10 pixels, okay. Minimum font size, so because it's in rem, you can use pixels, so font size doesn't really mean font size, it just means, you know, amount in pixels, or rem in this case. So let's have a look. This is the mobile version, yes, 23.4 rem, 23.4. And if you don't know clamp, that's okay, just look at it. Kevin Powell has an excellent video on min size or min width for something, max, and clamp. Clamp is kind of the accumulation of both, and I'll show you how in a second. And then this is 24.9, and that looks kind of good. Just gonna copy this clamp thing. Let's see what this does now. So it's making it grow, right? So can I do instead of flex grow? 175. Okay, I'm still not having the desired effect. This is not centered. Okay. I really thought, oops. Content. Right, I was thinking on the wrong axis. I was still in my head, I was in the column axis for some reason. Okay. We can actually do the text align center over here. Just so it's all the children inherit it effectively. And we're getting pretty close to the desired effect, I think. Let's see, when it's 375, there should be a lot of spacing, right? And you can see there's a lot of spacing just like there is here. Sorry, over here. Yeah. And the width right now of this is 234, just like here. Then if we expand this, the width is 240, and then at some point it reaches 247. Okay. So as it turns out, we can actually increase that So let's go back to this calculator tool. Instead of 900 pixels, we want, I don't know, 600 pixels. The only value that changed is here. I'll copy that. And I'll quickly explain what clamp is. Think of clamp as this. This is the smallest we can be. In width, for example, this is the smallest we will get. We're not going to get any smaller than 23.4 rem. This is the preferred value. So this is quite responsive. So you can see that view width obviously changes, right? View width of a screen that's 500 pixels versus view width. I'm thinking like 1 unit of view width versus 1000 pixel screen is going to be different. So this is actually a responsive unit that's doing some calculations for us, right? And this is the maximum that it can be. So it will ever be a maximum of 24.9 rem. And that's kind of it. Like the only, I suppose, math to do is here. And I don't really know the logic behind it. But you can find tools like this. This is one of the best ones I found. I might have to copy it someday or make my own tool like this, because what if this goes down? It might go down after all. Okay. Let's move on though. Okay. Somewhere over here. Somewhere over here. You can see it's slowly coming together quite nicely. Let's go to 375-ish. That's fine. Okay. So now we have stat and then stat value and then stat category. So let's just keep that kind of thing going. That's stat. Again, I could do a flex column here. I'm not going to. What's the point? I'm not going to do anything to stat, to be honest. I'm just going to do stat and then dot stat value. And then font weight. You can see these bold straight away. Just checking that. Font size, I'm going to assume it's 1.8 rem. And we'll just quickly check. 1.8, yeah, 1.8. Cool. That's about it. And then, these are not capitals. And these are, we can just do it, the text transform uppercase. Nice, that's done. Let's just copy that across. Stat category, I think I called it. Yes, stat category. This looks very small. This looks, wow, it's 10 pixels. Okay, so font size is 1 rem. Font weight, regular should be the default, we'll see. Text transform, no transform, let's just cut them out. And there is letter spacing. You can see it over here, 1.5 pixels. So in the context of rem, it's not 0.15 rem. Okay, we're getting close. There's a margin bottom on the top one, not 0.9 rem. MB, 1.9 rem. Okay. Looking fine. I forgot to set a color for this. I'll go back to that in a second. Is this a different color? It's the same color as that. So stat category color is gray blue, I think. That looks better. Okay. And then we want to go back. We don't need flex grow because the growth is happening with our width. Oops, a mistake. The growth is happening with our width. Very happy with that. Primary info. This is username and color. I think it's going to override the span color, isn't it? Yep, that's fine. Color, dark blue. Okay. That's fine. Well, we might as well just do it this now. Oops, remove it from here. All right, looks fine. So is the card complete? I think so. Is it responsive? Yes. So what I mean by responsive? Well, I haven't set the height. The width is it does max out, but thankfully it's easy to change because the only width value we really have for anything that's super fixed is here, max width. So if I do, I don't know, 40 rem. Okay, the image. So we could do it even more responsive, I guess. Object fit, can I do fill? Or cover, was it? What does stretch do? 100%. Let's just inspect it. This is an interesting interesting conundrum I have. Okay. Some reason user card is here. User card header is not 100%. So user card header, the width is actually coming from the image. So if we do width 100%, aha. And then if we go back to cover, I think it should still be responsive. It's okay. So let's go back here. So what do I mean by responsive, right? If we, as you see, if I change one value over here, everything still works perfectly fine. I could do this to 50 rem. Whoops, not what I want to do. But it still works. There's nothing fixed about it. If I add more content, which we can, let's do that. The card adapts. There's nothing I have to do, right? I could put more information here and everything would work just fine. So this is kind of what I mean when thinking about responsive design. Whoops, this is 35 rem. This is what I mean when it comes to responsive design. You can think of these things as how little work do I want to do? And then you just learn slowly how to do this. Like I didn't learn this overnight, you know, I learned this through a lot of mistakes and countless repetitions, how to think about this kind of problem differently. And then the background image part, I never really care about background images in these projects, but let's just do it. Okay, background image will be for body. Background image is URL, yes. Images, top, and then URL, images, bottom. We got them? Yes, we do. Then we just want background position. So this is something I don't understand. So let's say that the first one, the top one, if I do top left, and then the bottom one or the bottom right, logically, that's how they're spread on this project. So if we see this, bottom right, top left, yeah. So logically, this should be the correct structure, and then background repeat is almost always no repeat. There we go. Okay, and now if I do top, I don't know, let's just do 0 view width, 0 view height, bottom, 0 view. By the way, I didn't know I can do this until a few weeks ago. This blew my mind. I love that you can add these values. If I save that, nothing should happen, correct? And now we'll do everything else in the browser. It's just simpler. Yeah, sure. Why don't we take more space? We don't care about that. We just care about these things here. Okay, so if I start playing around with this stuff, okay, so right now it's going up and down, cool. And this, if I scroll minus on this, it's gonna go left. And so far, this, let's say this is quite close, right? And then we just scroll here, and this is the fastest way of achieving this kind of, let's just say this is correct. But right now they move, right? They're moving. But then if we reverse this logic, so, you know, the top one, instead of top left, we will do bottom right for some reason. And then the bottom left right one, we will do top left. And this is just some CSS I don't really understand yet. Bottom, so we'll just do this, right? We'll do that. Let's just see. I need it to show up. There we go. Okay. So I'm just gonna move it somewhere here. I don't care about being pixel perfect with these background images. They can go to hell. Maybe I should. Maybe that's the wrong attitude. but for these kind of projects, really, this is the focus point for me. Oh, did I do? Ah, yes, a view width, view height. Uh-oh. Well, that's a mistake I'm famous for, that kind of stuff. I would scream at my monitor when I started learning coding. Why is it not working? Okay, so now, after we inverted the logic, right, it doesn't really move that much, right? Which is, to me, is just bizarre, I'll be honest. Something not quite right here. Okay. So I did do this background image thing already because I knew it would annoy me if I didn't, and then I wasted time. Okay, where's my notes? I've got my notes open on the side. So we have bottom, 45 view height, and then right 45 view width. Okay, and then we have top 45 view height, and then left 45 view width. That looks okay. I don't even know why I did differently there, to be honest. But this seems to work. I'm just going to copy this into my code. Okay. And that's about it. I hope that was somewhat useful. Yeah, I don't know if I'll change anything. Oh yeah, we can change some small things. So we can just really quickly look at what can be made a bit more semantically. So the first of all, user card can be an article. Okay, so that changed by itself, thank God. An article thing, awesome. So now the whole thing is an article. What's an article? Well, it's an element that if you place it anywhere else, it would make sense by itself. So let's say you go to CNN, BBC, whatever news you want to go to. You go find an article from them. You copy the article content, paste it somewhere else. It still makes sense by itself, right? You don't need any really additional explanation as to what it is. That's what an article is. It's anything like that. It can be anything. And you can have lots of articles somewhere. I think you can. Header. So this header by itself wouldn't make much sense by itself. So it can't be an article, right? It can be a section. A section actually depends on surrounding content to give it some semantic meaning, to give it any meaning. And all of these actually can be considered as sections. So if we just do a section for this one, primary information section as well, and this one as well, section. So we have 3 sections now. And interestingly enough, each one of these stats, each one of these, I think it can be an article. It's either a section or an article, actually. I'm not sure, so I'm going to leave it, but maybe you know. I do not. Would I change anything else? Not really. This just added some semantic HTML. And now if you read it, you've got this article thing. Cool. You've got 3 sections of the article. Awesome. And then you just have normal kind of divvy HTML as I refer to it. But yeah, that's that. I hope that was somewhat helpful in how to get to a responsive layout. Obviously, if you have questions, just ask them in Frontend Mentor or leave the comments. Yeah, leave the comment down below if you want. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just making these videos to learn how to make videos at this stage, so anything works. Ciao.